Hey everyone, if those creditor calls are starting to feel like a broken record, like they just keep coming and coming and coming, you're in the right spot.
Definitely.
We're diving into the complete book on bankruptcy today,
Okay.
and it's written by Peter Francis Geraci from Geraci Law.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Geraci Law has been around for like over 40 years, helping people who are dealing with financial challenges. And their attorneys, get this, they have over 600 years, like combined experience in bankruptcy, which is incredible.
That's a lot of
Right?
experience.
It's amazing. And they've helped over 900,000 people find their way to a life without debt. So, I mean, these guys really know their stuff. To help us understand all of it, we have our expert here. So, when you're facing like this mountain of debt, what's the first thing people should know?
Well, I think one of the most powerful things that you have on your side is something called the automatic stay.
Okay.
And it's a legal protection that kicks in as soon as you file for bankruptcy.
Oh, wow.
And it's really important to remember just thinking about it or even hiring a lawyer doesn't make it happen. You have to actually file that paperwork with the court for this protection to like really start working.
So it's not just like a hope or a wish. You actually have to like officially file.
You got it.
And then, is it true that like everything just stops? That sounds almost too good to be true.
It's true. The automatic stay is like a giant stop sign. It puts a halt to all those debt collection efforts. The phone calls, wage garnishments, those scary lawsuits, even repossessions and foreclosures.
Whoa, it stops everything.
Everything.
Wow. I like how you described it. Like, imagine you're in this speedboat, going full throttle towards a waterfall.
Yeah,
Filing for bankruptcy is like slamming that engine into reverse at the last second.
exactly.
The book talks about this guy, Keith, who was dealing with all of it. I mean, he was being harassed by creditors. They were taking money right out of his paycheck. It was a mess.
Mm-hmm.
But once that automatic stay kicked in, it sounds like he could finally breathe again.
It was instant relief. And to make sure everyone knows about it, Geraci Law gives its clients something called an automatic stay notice. It's like this official document that proves they've got this protection so they can show it to their employer, the creditors, anyone who needs to know that all that debt collection stuff has to stop.
So it's like that line in those fantasy movies, you shall not pass.
Haha, yeah, kinda.
But it makes you wonder, why do people wait so long to file? Like this Keith guy, he was going through so much. The chapter even mentions this common mistake, people struggling to pay debts that bankruptcy, could just wipe away. And all that time, they're neglecting those essential bills, the stuff they really need to keep a roof over their heads.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. We see it all the time. People draining their savings, even dipping into the retirement funds just to keep up with minimum payments on credit cards or those payday loans, debts that could potentially vanish completely through bankruptcy. It's like they're trying to bail out a sinking ship with a teaspoon.
It's just not enough.
Exactly.
And it really highlights how important it is to talk to a bankruptcy attorney early on.
Absolutely.
They can help you, figure out which debts could be discharged, which ones stay with you, how to protect your stuff, and the best time to actually file to really make it work for you. It's about being proactive instead of waiting until it's too late.
You got it. It's about taking charge of your money situation instead of letting it control you. So many people go through unnecessary suffering because they just don't know their rights and what options are out there. Knowledge is power, especially when we're talking about something as complex as bankruptcy.
Right. And speaking of knowing your rights, the chapter gives some good advice on dealing with those annoying creditor calls. Even before you file for bankruptcy, it's as simple as telling those debt collectors that your work doesn't allow those calls and to just call you at home instead. And surprisingly, it can really work.
It's like setting a boundary.
Yeah, it is.
A legal one. You're basically bringing in the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, or FDCPA. That's a federal law designed to protect people from harassment by debt collectors.
Oh,
By telling them your employer doesn't allow those calls, you're putting them on notice that they could be breaking the law if they keep calling you at work.
I see. So it's like drawing a line in the sand. But even with all this info out there are still so many myths about bankruptcy floating around.
Oh, absolutely.
This whole idea that it'll ruin your life forever, you'll never get a house or a car, everyone's going to know. It's like one of those scary stories you tell around a campfire.
Right.
It's spooky.
But those fears are often based on, like, bad information or old wives' tales. Bankruptcy isn't a life sentence. It's more like a fresh start. In fact, a lot of people find they can actually get a mortgage sooner after filing because their debt-to-income ratio improves, leading to a better credit score. It's kind of counterintuitive, but bankruptcy can actually make your finances healthier in the long run. Yeah, it's like hitting the reset button and, giving yourself permission to start fresh.
Wow. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It's like a new beginning.
It is.
And it kind of reminds me of what Geraci Law says, that, their motto, nice people doing nice things for nice people.
Oh, yeah.
It makes the whole thing a lot less scary, you know?
Absolutely. It makes it feel more human.
Yeah.
Like they get it.
Right?
They understand that dealing with money problems is stressful, and they treat people with respect. And
Exactly.
empathy. They want to help you take charge of your finances, not make you feel bad about past mistakes.
Yeah, it's not about judgment.
Not at all.
It's about solutions.
Exactly.
And that's where their free consultations come in. Like the chapter really highlights how important that is.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's a chance to actually sit down with a lawyer.
For a whole hour.
A whole hour. No pressure, no cost. And you just talk about your situation.
Wow.
It's a great way to get personalized advice, really understand how bankruptcy law works, and figure out the best way forward.
Because everybody's situation is different.
Exactly.
It's like a financial checkup. Figuring out, where you stand and what you can do.
Yeah, totally.
And sometimes bankruptcy is the answer.
Sometimes it is.
But it doesn't have to be this big, scary, mysterious thing, right?
Right. It can be a path to a brighter future.
And speaking of knowledge, we talked about knowledge is power earlier. Geraci Law even has this free credit counseling course on their website. And it's not even about bankruptcy. It's just about giving people the info they need to make smart choices with their money.
That's fantastic. It shows they really care about educating people. The more you know about your options, the less scary the whole thing becomes.
I like that. The chapter makes it super clear. Bankruptcy is not a failure.
It's not.
It's a legal tool, a safety net to protect you and your financial future.
Exactly. It's about taking a step back.
Yeah.
Looking at the big picture and using the tools that are out there to get back on track. And a lot of times, like we've talked about, bankruptcy can actually set you up for a stronger financial future in the long run.
Yeah. We were talking about Keith earlier, remember, who was really struggling? The chapter mentions the lawyers at Geraci Law have over 600 years of combined experience in bankruptcy. They've seen it all. They've helped over 900,000 people deal with these exact challenges. That's a lot of expertise.
It is. And it's reassuring to know you're not alone in this. There are people who understand what you're going through and can walk you through the process.
Right. It brings us back to that idea of taking control, not letting debt control you, but taking the reins and making a plan for a better future.
Yeah. Sometimes that plan means tough choices.
Got it.
But it's always better to face those challenges head on than to let fear and uncertainty paralyze you.
Absolutely. And hey, remember, we've talked about it, bankruptcy can actually improve your credit score over time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Counterintuitive, but it's like clearing out the clutter so you can start fresh and build something stronger.
Yeah, it's like taking a deep breath and starting a whole new chapter in your money story.
Exactly. A fresh start.
Yeah, a fresh start. So we're back, and I feel like, after all this, we've really taken a look behind the curtain of bankruptcy. It can be, kind of scary and confusing.
It really can be.
And we've kind of busted some myths along the way.
Yeah. There are a lot of misconceptions out there, that's for sure.
Exactly. And they keep people from even considering it as an option.
Yeah, they think it's, like giving up.
Right.
But it's not. It's more like a strategic move, a way to take back control.
That's a great way to put it.
Thanks.
And one thing we've really learned is that timing matters. The chapter makes it clear. Talking to an attorney sooner rather than later is key.
Absolutely. The longer you wait, the tougher things can get.
Yeah, and like we talked about, people try to handle it on their own, draining their savings and stuff, trying to keep up with debts that bankruptcy could actually wipe away.
It's a common trap.
Right.
Reaching out for help early on can make a huge difference.
It's like that old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Exactly.
If you're feeling that debt pressure, don't wait until you hit that breaking point. Reach out to a qualified attorney, like the folks at Geraci Law.
Definitely.
They offer those free consultations so you can actually get advice that's tailored to your situation and, figure out your options without any pressure.
It's a risk-free way to get some clarity and understand what's possible.
Yeah, because bankruptcy isn't a one-size-fits-all solution.
No, it's not.
Right. It's a whole process with its own rules.
Definitely its own set of rules.
And having an experienced attorney by your side can really make all the difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it makes all the difference in the world. And as we've learned from this chapter, bankruptcy is not a failure.
No, not at all.
It's a tool.
Right.
Something that can protect you and give you a fresh start.
Absolutely. It's about taking charge of your finances and building a more stable future for yourself.
And a brighter future, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well said. So before we wrap things up here, just a friendly reminder that everything we've talked about today is just for informational purposes. It's not official legal advice or anything.
Right. Always good to remember that.
Yeah. So if you've got specific questions about your situation, the best thing to do is talk to a qualified attorney.
Definitely. And Geraci Law offers those free consultations. So, there's no reason not to reach out.
Right, exactly.
Don't let fear or doubt hold you back.
Take that first step.
Take that first step. Exactly.
Okay, well, on that note, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into bankruptcy and the automatic stay.
It was a great discussion.
Yeah, if debt is weighing you down, remember there's a legal way out.
Absolutely.
Don't go through it alone.
Reach out for help.
Reach out, get informed, and take charge of your financial future.
I love it.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Thanks. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice. Attorney advertising. Past results do not guarantee similar outcomes. Listening to this podcast does not create an attorney-client relationship with Juris IC Law or any of its attorneys. The information discussed is general in nature and may not apply to your specific legal situation. For personalized advice regarding your financial circumstances or potential bankruptcy options, we encourage you to consult directly with a qualified attorney. Juris IC Law provides free consultations to help you make informed decisions. Contact us today to learn more.